You said last week that you have the Epstein files on your desk. When can we see them, and what's taking so long to release them?
I do. Jesse, there are well over, this will make you sick, 200 victims. We have to make sure that their identity is protected. Other than that, I think tomorrow, Jesse, breaking news right now, you're going to see some Epstein information being released by my office.
All right, well, today is tomorrow, and after hyping up the release of the long-awaited Jeffrey Epstein files and then delivering a whole lot of nothing, conservatives, Maga people are upset at US Attorney General Pam Bondi, and she's beginning to feel the full force of the Maga wrath. Cenk, I know you guys covered this a little bit on the show yesterday. Are you surprised that things have only gotten worse for Pam Bondi?
I'm not at all surprised. So MAGA's turning on Trump super hard on this one. And so that's gonna be really interesting to watch. We got some news on that. I had a little bit of an exchange with Elon Musk about this on X. We'll get to that as well. But right now, this does not look good for the Trump administration. And I have a prediction on this coming up in a minute as well. Let's get more of the details.
All right, well, I'm sure you do. So here are the details. This is reporting from The Independent. It says the information released on Thursday includes an evidence list, white logs, Epstein's contact book, and a redacted masseuse list featuring over 250 entries, much of which was already public. Some notable new information did crop up, however, including that Epstein had Mick Jagger, Michael Jackson, actor Alec Baldwin, and supermodel Naomi Campbell in his list of phone contacts. But there was more information that for some reason was not released. Can't imagine what that reason was. At least according to the letter Bondi sent FBI Director Kash Patel yesterday. It said Bondi suggested in a letter Thursday to FBI Director Kash Patel that more records were recently discovered. She ordered the FBI to hand over the full and complete Epstein files to her by Friday morning, and directed Patel conduct an immediate investigation into why her order to the FBI to turn over all the documents was not followed. And the shocker, the deadline for this was 8 a.m. on Friday, February 28th. That is today. Today is Friday, February 28th, and it's way after 8 a.m. And we still have nothing. The documents were never handed over, and MAGA is angry, like they're furious, specifically at Pam Bondi, not only because, again, most of the information that was released was already available under the Biden administration, but because the Trump administration pulled this little PR stunt regarding the whole thing. Here's a tweet from Laurel Loomer, Trump's BFF, and she says, "There is one person who takes the blame for what happened today. It's Pam Bondi. I think she should resign. She went on Fox News and said the files were on her desk. Then she went on Fox News last night and said we would have files today. She's a total liar. Just face it." That's not all she said. She had more. She said, "I'm told the organizers of the event at the White House yesterday have told all of the influencers involved to post selfie videos denying Pam Bondi's involvement and to claim they all had no idea they were getting binders. Everything is so scripted. Pam is the one who handed them the binders and strutted into the meeting to make a big deal about the binders. How can they say she wasn't involved now? Are we resorting to lying now?" I don't know. Is that what we're doing? Are we just lying now? Is that what they're doing? But MAGA isn't the only one. They're not just questioning Pam Bondi here. They're also starting to question Trump's leadership. So this is going all the way up to the top. Barstool Sports co-founder Dave Portnoy had this to say in a tweet yesterday. "If I'm going to be fair, these questions need to be asked today. Why is the release of the Epstein list always a show? What's the point of booting out illegals and criminals while somehow becoming a safe haven for the Tate brothers? Why is crypto in the toilet if Trump is crypto king? How far does Tesla stock have to crash before Elon gets back to work?" Those are all wonderful questions, and we would all like those answers. Elon Musk did quickly come to Bondi's defense, however, and he tried to soothe things over in the MAGA world. He said this: "People don't understand that you don't get instant power here," which is funny coming from Elon Musk. He said, reposting an X post by user Wall Street Mav that said that the Attorney General is fighting a leftist culture within the DOJ and FBI and asked her critics to give her a chance. Imagine if you were suddenly appointed AG or head of the FBI. You are just thrown on a ship with a hostile crew. Until you appoint some new crew members and figure out the ropes, you can't steer the ship effectively. It's literally impossible. Again, that is Rich coming from the richest man in the world who was literally given the reins to the entire American government, and he has used it since to just enrich himself in various ways. But Laura Loomer is back, and she had another great point that she made. She tweeted, 1 week ago, Pam Bondi said, the Epstein files are on my desk. Now she's claiming the deep state set her up. What deep state? Trump is in office and all of his cabinet members are bragging about how they fired the deep state. I'm confused. I was told we fired the deep state. Those are excellent points coming from Laura Loomer. And it's interesting because it speaks directly to a lot of the cognitive dissonance that we see coming out of the right, where they say one thing and then they just don't identify it whenever it comes from Trump, right? They're mad about this thing, but whenever the Trump administration or Republicans do the thing that they're mad about, they don't see it or they don't care about it or they make excuses for it. And there are various examples of that that we're gonna cover later on in this very show. Maz, what do you make of all of this? What do you think is gonna come out of this? Are we ever going to see the Epstein list? And are we ever going to see Trump implicated in any of this?
Well, you're right. When you're reading a Laura Loomer tweet and you're nodding in agreement, the world is just confusing. And Portnoy also made some good points. I blame Geraldo Rivera. Because if you remember, no, you might be too young for this. I know Cenk remembers. Geraldo promised us that he was going to go into Al Capone's secret vault and find a bunch of things. And all he found was some rocks and empty bottles. That was it. He didn't find anything. And so that's what these people, it feels like the right has been waiting for the Epstein files to come out because it's going to reveal this big thing and how the deep state has been eating the blood of children and all these sexual things and all that other stuff. And I'm not saying that stuff wasn't going on with the sexual stuff that was going on with Epstein, but the right, I think, feels like it's going to take down the Clintons and the Obamas and everyone else that's been involved in getting us to where we are, this deep state. And the irony is, you look at the travel logs and the flight logs, and I think Trump even shows up in them. So then they somehow explain it away. And in my opinion, it's just amazing how passionate they are about finding Epstein's, like what's in the Epstein files. And we're in a world now where with P. Diddy and Epstein and all this other stuff, there's nothing's gonna shock us. So there's nothing shocking. And you know what's shocking is that you guys are so stupid that you think that this is what we should be concentrating on when the guy that you voted for said he's going to bring the price of eggs down, and he sold the presidency to the richest dude in the world who's telling you, just like you said, Yasmin, that, it's hard. It's hard getting started here. You don't have control right away. And he's sitting there cutting all these jobs, cutting all these agencies that actually are needed in America and around the world. And they're now just obsessed with the Epstein files. I wish they would put a little more energy into maybe just reflecting upon themselves and going, wait a minute, I voted for this guy and this is what he's doing. It's like all the Palestinians that had all the Arabs that had the awakening when the Gaza video came out and he wanted to make Gaza a resort. They go, oh, I voted for that guy. Or the Venezuelan lady who was with the video where she was like, Trump is the best. And then he got rid of the temporary protection status. He's like, Trump lied to us. So I think Trump lied to us is a t-shirt that should be printed and worn by all these people. And pretty soon, everyone that voted for him will be wearing that shirt.
So I want to get into the two different issues here. One is Epstein and the other is the MAGA reaction, because I think they're both important. And one of the questions I want to address is deep state. Who's deep state? So hold that thought, because that one's important. So first on the substance of Epstein. So they released names that we already knew. And remember, those names don't necessarily mean they did it. That's just Epstein's contact list on his phone. So he has like a lot of women on that list. They didn't necessarily get massages at all, right? So my point there is that was a big giant Nothingburger. Now that leads to part of what I want to talk about with the MAGA reaction, which is that in my experience, in the first term, if Trump did this, they would have been like, oh yeah, of course, the names, that's all we needed. And the fact that we don't even know anything about the names, it's beautiful. Trump is the greatest. Trump is a demigod. No one should criticize him. He got Epstein, right? That's my experience with what happened in the Trump first term, right? What's interesting is this time around, they're like, wait, that's a nothing burger. Remember, Trump doesn't give a damn what the left thinks, right? Trump doesn't care what the mainstream media thinks. But it's his own base going, what the hell is this? You lied to us. This isn't the Epstein file. You think we're stupid? And so that leads to prediction number one. Guys, they're gonna get caught. And I don't mean caught by us. It's easy for us to rant about it, et cetera. And it's easy for us to be right, but that doesn't mean you're gonna convince the voters that you need to win the next election. Remember, he won the popular vote, right? So you've got to convince Trump voters that he's on the wrong path. And my point has been throughout, you'd be surprised. A lot of those Trump voters have a way more open mind, not all of them, maybe not even a majority of them, but a lot of them have more of an open mind than they did in his first term, partly because they're listening and watching different media. So here they are, they get tested on Epstein, a thing that right or wrong, you're right, that they care a lot about. They cared a ton about this. And so when Pam Bondi said, it's on my desk and I'm gonna give it to you, and then she gave him this nonsense and thought she could trick them, they were super pissed. Having Trump's voters super pissed at Trump is great for the country, not because, haha, we got Trump, but because it means that some of them, a lot of them, are thinking for themselves. So that's an enormous development. So prediction number one is this is just the beginning. They're gonna get caught over and over and over again, not just by us, but by their own voters. I'm gonna get to prediction number two in a second. Now, to the Epstein substance. So the names are nothing, we learned nothing from this at all. The files, she said, exist and were on her desk. Now she's trying to blame the Southern District of New York, and she said it's okay, I'm gonna go get them from the FBI. Kash Patel is in charge of the FBI, so I'm sure the biggest Trump loyalist there is, when he has the damning Epstein files, he's gonna turn it over, but he hasn't turned it over today. So what do we think is happening? Well, in order to determine that, you have to think about, well, what happened to Epstein? So number one, did he commit suicide? Well, on the Young Turks, the day that the news broke, I said on the air, guys, if the camera in the hallway of that, where he was being held in that prison, is working, then he committed suicide, as they say. Because you'll be able to see people going in and out, and if there's nobody going in or out, and he was in his cell by himself, okay, suicide. I said, if the camera is magically not working, then it wasn't suicide. They definitely killed him, right? And the reason I tell you about that prediction is not, haha, yeah, I was right. No, it's to show you that I'm not Monday morning quarterbacking this. I'm on tape saying if the camera isn't working, then clearly he didn't commit suicide. And then it turned out not only was the camera not working, the two guards happened to be off at the same time. They happened to take his cellmate out of the cell right before. Come on, I mean, if you were gonna murder him, those are the first 3 steps you would do, and step number 4 is go in and murder him. So then that leads to the inexorable question, which is going to make a lot of people uncomfortable. What is a force that is powerful enough to kill someone inside a maximum security United States prison and get away with it? And have no one talk, whether it's a Biden administration or a Trump administration, about how the camera's out and the guards are off and all of these obvious things we could all see with our own eyes. And then all of a sudden the files, oh golly gee, where are the files? I can't find them. What is the one force on earth that has both of our parties completely under their control? Are you sure it's our deep state that's the problem? Because our deep state's filled with a bunch of clownish bureaucrats. Okay, you guys think that there's some sort of like genius boogeyman in there. I haven't seen it yet, right? But there is another deep state from another country that is super powerful and super effective and isn't just occupying different countries, but perhaps here as well. So if somebody's got a better explanation, I'd like to hear it. But that leads to prediction number 2. They ain't gonna find those files. Those files were not on Pam Bondi's desk. They thought they could trick their own voters. Those files, all of a sudden, it will be announced that they are suddenly missing. oh, golly gee, we were gonna hand over the Epstein files, but my boss's boss has called, and it turns out there's a force we can't mess with, so you will never, ever see those files. Or they'll say, oh, they were somebody that was in the deep state, got rid of them earlier. Wink. Yeah. Okay, we'll see if I'm right. But I think that if they keep going like this, they're messing with an issue. Again, to Maz's point, an issue their base cares a lot about, and they think they could just trick them. I don't think they can. Real quick, guys, I know because we're running out of time. Look, I wrote about the same thing on Twitter. I talked about who's strong enough to do this. I don't know anyone else who is. And then Elon Musk wrote back in that comment and said, my guess is that he did, meaning he committed suicide, that Epstein committed suicide. But the suicide would have been stopped if the guards were there or the camera was functional. So it was likely assisted. He may have been promised something in exchange for killing himself. That's what I'm curious about. And I wrote back, when someone comes to assist you in killing yourself in prison, you usually didn't ask for that assistance. I said on the Young Turks when the news broke, if the camera was in the hallway where it's working, it's a suicide. If it wasn't, they killed him and it wasn't working. Part of the reason I read you that is because, and you can go look at that tweet yourself online. You'll see a lot of different comments, but it appears that the most common comment was the one graphic 13 here of people who are right-wingers, Trump fans, Elon Musk fans saying this, God, I hate agreeing with you, okay? Because they care about this and they have eyes and ears. They saw Epstein didn't commit suicide. Pam Bondi didn't have the files. They never gave them over. They've been lying the whole time, which is definitely leading them to ask, what the hell's going on here?
Yeah, I think that's somehow the more comforting aspect of this story, for me at least, is that there is a lot of unity as far as the way that people are starting to look at the world. We're starting to realize that, in this story and even in the last story, that, there are things that are binding and that are common between more people than we realize. Because you know what? It's been really exhausting the last 10 years, at least, let's say, just being so divided as a country, and especially here on the left. And I always say that one of the curses of being a progressive is that you tend to be ahead of the curve on certain things and you're just waiting for people to catch up. And I don't mean that in like an arrogant way. I'm just saying that we tend to be pushing more for things, as the name would suggest, right? So at this point, we are starting to see that a lot of people are starting to realize that a lot of the things that the Trump administration is fighting for and a lot of the things that they are actually doing isn't helping people, and it isn't delivering the things that people want to them. And for whatever reason, a lot of Trump supporters really care a lot about these Epstein files. They want to see them. They want to see all the Democrats that they can implicate with the files, so they can feel justified and say, look, see, I told you this is what's gonna happen. I told you all the Democrats were evil. I told you they were all doing things that they weren't supposed to be doing. They want that moment for themselves. They've waited years for that kind of a release, and they're getting antsy and they want it. They were promised it, and they're not going to get it. And I feel bad for them, but I feel like that's a wake-up call that they need to experience. And of course, whatever Republicans happen to be on that list as well, they're just going to say, oh no, they were just there investigating. They were just trying to stop all the bad stuff from happening. Whatever it is that they need to tell themselves to make themselves feel better and to make themselves feel as if they're on the right side of things. Personally, I kind of don't care about the list, right? I don't think that a whole lot is going to come from it. I don't think that once all these names get released, we're going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe this person was on the list. I don't think that anything meaningful is going to come from it. I would love to know more about Jeffrey Epstein and his death, and who was behind it and all these things, what he was hiding. Like, that story is interesting and valid to me. But again, with the Trump administration currently in power, I'm a little nervous about, like, maybe if all this stuff does get released, what is going to come from it? I'm not sure. Maybe something if we're being optimistic, but at this point, I really just can't see it.
Thanks for watching the Young Turks. Really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR. So those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.